Hi everyone, welcome back to the next diecast. In today's video, I'll be unboxing and doing a quick review of this 1/24th scale Dodge concept vehicle made by Maisto. I got this model off of eBay for $10 plus shipping. You can see it came in this standard Maisto box from the 1990s. You have a picture of the car on the back and on the bottom there. We'll go ahead and take it out of the box. The seller added this paper in there to protect the car, which was nice. Standard Maisto cardboard base for these boxes, and you can see it's the doors, hood, and trunk are held shut by two straps on there. So we'll take the car off the base by taking off those two screws, and then we'll take off the shipping straps next. All right, got the base off. Just got to take off these two plastic strips. They're actually held on the base with this kind of really sticky tape. I ended up having to clean off the one portion of the base of the model because it had some kind of sticky stuff left on it from the tape. You'll see it here in a sec when I take off the strap. Yeah, there it is on like the center there. But I was able to get it off, luckily. Get these straps out of the way. All right, here's our Dodge concept car. On this model, you do have the opening hood, the opening rear trunk, and the opening doors. Next, we'll get into the review. Okay, here is our Dodge concept vehicle. I don't usually film these 1/24th scale reviews in the morning because of like the sunlight, the way it like goes into the room here and everything. But I mean, honestly, right now it looks pretty good, like the way that it's shining on the paint and stuff. So I figured, why not? But as you can see, really good model overall. A lot of its characteristics and features do match up with the 1/18th scale version that Maisto also makes. Let's see right here. And Maisto also made a 1/64th scale version too. So it's kind of cool to have, multiple scales of the same car from the same model manufacturer. This is, this is always cool to have this. Maisto was doing that a lot in like the early to mid 1990s. A lot of their 1/18 scale cars could also be had as 1/24th scale like clones or 1/64th scale clones. But just something cool to keep in mind. But Maisto is no longer making the 1/24 scale version of the 97 Dodge concept. It was made, I think, from 1997 until around 2007 or 2008, maybe. Only came in this orange, which is actually the orange that the real concept car came in. But overall, I think the details are pretty well done for a 1/24 scale model. We'll take a look in terms of details. We'll start up here at the front. Maisto, I think, did a good job with the headlights and everything. They're kind of nice and flush with this front end here. The front end is made of plastic, similar to the 1/18 scale version, but I don't think that's a big deal. But you can tell in some lighting, like in this direct lighting here, that the shade of paint is a little bit different than like the shade of paint on the metal hood here. But I guess that's not too big of a deal because you're not going to have this in direct lighting all the time, probably. They do have separate turn signals on here, which is nice to see, and you have the lower grille, which is hollowed out. And you have this nice logo on the front bumper here. This concept was supposed to be kind of like a budget version of the Dodge Viper if it were to have actually made it to like the production line. So it does kind of have like a Viper sort of Cobra copperhead snake symbol, because this concept was going to be called the copperhead concept, but they just changed it to the Dodge concept vehicle due to some kind of copyright thing or something. The paint overall, I would say, is fairly well done. Typical of 90s Maisto models. There is some orange peel here and there. You can see some up here on the hood and everything, but aside from those few spots, I think Maisto does an excellent job of kind of like the metallic look. You can see it really does sparkle in this sort of direct lighting here, and it looks accurate to the real concept car's paint color, which is nice to see. The wheel detail is well done too. Maisto even puts on these Goodyear tires. A lot of their 1/24th or 1/18 scale models in the 1990s had these branded tires. I think most of them did actually, which is cool to see. And you actually have steering too. kind of hard to, there's a better look at it. But, you know, Maisto, they no longer include branded tires or steering on their 124 scale models. So I think it is kind of cool to see those sort of extra little details on here. The windshield, you can tell, is definitely a flimsy piece of plastic. The orange actually is a completely different color in direct lighting compared to the rest of the body. Don't see it as much in like the, actually you can see a little bit here, wow. Same thing with like the mirrors too, but I don't think that's too big of a deal. It might just be like a factory defect or something on mine. But if they had made at least the mirrors metal, I think they would have matched up better with like the rest of the paint and whatnot. And then taking a look at the back, there's a better look. They do a good job with the taillights. They actually are just painted on. But the real taillights were just kind of a single shade of red anyway, so I don't think that's too big of a deal. But having them as separate pieces would have been nice. And you do have the nice Copperhead and Dodge inscriptions and badging on the bumper here, done in silver, as you can see right here. Exhaust pipes do look a bit cheap, but at least they're there. And they do replicate the taillight up on here. In terms of opening features, surprisingly, you do actually get this opening rear trunk back here. And just like the 1/18 scale version, you do have the kind of folded back top in here, which is a cool touch. Of course, it doesn't actually work on here because it is made of plastic, but nice that Maisto included this as sort of an opening feature like on the 1/18 scale version. Of course, the 1/18 scale version, the rear deck lid does open up a little bit wider, but on here, at least they sort of include that feature to begin with, and you do have some trunk space back there too. So I thought that was a cool touch. It is kind of stiff to close. Just be careful. You have to like do that a little bit. And of course, you have the opening hood here. Decently detailed engine, as you can see here. The main block is done in kind of this chrome, similar to the 1/18 scale version. And the rest is just kind of done in this sort of like single silver color. On the 1/18 scale version, you do sort of have, you know, more depth and everything to it, as you can see here, and more, you know, coloring. They both have that kind of not so great looking undersprayed areas here and there. And you actually don't get the prop rod on the 124 scale version too, but it is kind of neat to compare the two different engines on here. So most of the detail is actually there for this engine on the 124 scale version, just not all of it's colored in like differently. You pretty much just have silver and chrome, but definitely not the worst engine I've seen on a Maisto 124 scale model. And they do make a lot of effort, I think, with this main block piece here. So at least that's a good touch. Oh, and these vents on the hood are actually functional. I thought maybe they would just be kind of plastic pieces, but no, they're actually hollowed out, just like on the 1/18 scale version. So that's nice to see that. And you do, of course, have the opening doors too, which open up like so on these kind of dog legs. Decently detailed on the interior here. You can see that on the dashboard and seats, you do have these nice textures on them. They actually have several, you know, different textures in here. The seat backs do actually move a slight bit, not too much, but it's kind of cool to see that they do move. A nice texture and overall shape on them. These center panels should be orange, as should the center console, or as should like the gauge clusters surround on here, because you'll see on the 1/18 scale version, it does have the accurate coloring and everything. But this is a 124 scale version, so some details aren't going to be there for the most part. So the interior is pretty much just all one like gray color, but at least like the actual buttons and everything are sort of molded in place, and they actually do a decent job with the steering wheel. It has the full kind of molded in Copperhead logo. You can see the little horn badge down there and kind of the rivet pattern surrounding it. But I think if they had at least made these inserts orange on the door panels and made this kind of surrounding area where the gauges are orange, it would have looked like a lot better. But I think what they have here is just fine for the most part. At least they do a good job with like the different textures and everything. Like you have this kind of leather texture on the door, different texture for the inserts and the steering wheel, and a unique texture on the seats too. They do look and feel like the real seats. I think the seats are actually the best part of this interior here. So that's all cool to see that. And the doors are a bit stiff because they do open up on these kind of dog leg hinges. So I wouldn't open them up too often because they might become loose over time, but that shouldn't be a big deal. Close those up. Overall, if you can find this model for a good price, and it should be fairly easy to find. Most versions you're going to probably be able to find for between $10 and $20 on eBay and everything. I think it's a good model to add to your collection, whether you like concept cars or interesting cars from the 1990s or Dodge and whatnot, and even like Vipers too, because this would have been sold alongside the Viper if it had actually been produced in real life. But overall, I think it's a good model. As always, feel free to comment down below with your thoughts on the model here, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.